This Python decorator, okay, in Python, a decorator takes in a function. It adds some functionality with that function, and then it returns that function. Okay, so okay, before we try to understand what decorators are, first we need to understand some the background concepts or basic concepts. Okay, so once you understand that, then you can understand decorators. Okay, so in Python, functions, right? Functions are they're first-class citizens. Okay, so I will explain what that means. So first-class citizens means that the functions. Okay, functions can be treated just like any other regular variable. Okay, just like any regular variable, functions can be they can be passed as argument to another function. Okay, also they can be returned from a function. A function can be returned from a function. Okay, and then the function can be modified, of course, and then you can assign a function to a variable. Okay, so that means function um, pretty much can be treated as just a normal regular variable. Okay, in Python. So that's why functions are they're called they're first class citizens because they have all those rights and privileges. Okay, so now you need to understand this concept, okay, in order to understand Python decorators, right? So let's see. Here's an example. So all these things I mentioned here, right? All these properties. So these, okay, I'll explain with examples. Okay, for example, assigning functions to variable. This one right here, assigning. Okay, so how can we assign a function to variable, right? So let's see here. There's an example. See, let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, this should be bigger. Okay, see here. Now this is a function, right? Okay, this one right here. Okay, is a function, right? So def increment one. Okay, takes in num and then returns num plus one, right? So here now this function, okay, this is the function, right? Increment one is the name of the function, right? And what we are doing here is we are assigning this to another variable right here. See, we're assigning this function, this increment one is a function on the right hand side, right? This is being, assigned to this right here, this variable on the left. Okay. So now, when you call this, see, when you call add one with one argument, because see, this expects one argument, right? So you, pass 7. Okay. So what it will do is it will call this one because, this has been assigned to this means you can call, you know, when you call like this, actually you're calling this function. Okay, so now you're passing 7 to num, and then you get what? Num is 7 plus 1, you get 8, right? So here's 8 right here. Okay, so so here is an example of assigning functions to variables. So let's look at another one. So functions can be passed as argument to another function, right? So a function can accept a function as argument. Okay, so let's look at an example. So look at this. There are two functions shared here. See, you have this function increment one, okay, and then another function decrement one, okay. All right. So these two functions, okay, we just defined these two functions, and then let's see over here. Here we have another function, okay. See, which takes in a function. See, one of the arguments. So this argument is a function, right? So it accepts a function, and then a number, an integer or any a number. Say. Okay, so here, this is a function. So you see, as you can see here, it's this function, my function, right? My underscore function is taking a function as an argument. Okay, so now how do you call this function? See here, I'm calling this function, right? This function, my function from here, right? My function, and then see what am I passing here? I'm passing a function. See, increment one. See right here, this function. I'm passing that function. Okay, that function to when I'm calling this, right? Okay. So now, likewise, see, I can call the same function, this function, with another function. See, so here, decrement one. So I'm passing the function decrement one, right, as argument to this, right? Okay. So now, when you do this, see what's happening here. See, you call this function, right? This function from here, right? And then you pass this increment one here. So now here, the func is what? Func is increment one. And then after that, you go here, and then, so it's like calling increment one with num. Num is what? Num is 5 here, right? So 5, and then increment one. Increment one is here, so whatever is passed is incremented by 1. So you get 6 right here. Likewise over here. See, you call this function right here, right? With what? With a function decrement 1, right? This function right here. Decrement 1 and num as 5, right? So this function, okay, this func is now what? That's decrement 1, right? When you're calling from here. And then here, return func name, right? So here you're calling that function with num, right? So that means you're calling decrement 1 with 5, right? And then what is returned? 5 minus 1, which is 4, right? And then okay. So let's see. Now the point is functions can be passed as argument to a function. See, this function accepts or is passing this function as argument. The same function, this one, is passing another function as argument. Okay, that's the point. Okay. Another one. Okay, so function is being returned from. Okay, function can be returned from a function. Okay, so let's look at that. So you look up here. So you have this function right here, def double, right? So this is a function, right? So and then this is a function, and here we are defining another function. So function inside a function, right? So this is the outer function, def double is the outer function, and this is the inner function, right? Def multiplied 2 is the inner function. So now what's happening here is this. Okay, so what's happening is, okay, so this function. So now this function, this function double is returning. See, returning this function. See, multiply 2. This is a function, right? See, multiply 2 is a function, right? As you can see here, it's the inner function, right? So actually, this function, this double, is returning the multiply 2. Okay, that function. See, so that means a function can return a function. Okay, so and then how do you use it? So here, see, you call double, right? So when you call double, right, you call this double, right? From here, you're calling double. So what is being returned? Your function is being returned. See, a function is being returned, and then see, and now so num2 will be a function. It's a function. Num2 is a function, right? Which is returned by double, which is multiplied 2. Now you have to call that. See, now you see you have to call. You have to make another call. See, num2, and then see when you do num2 3, then it's like this is being called with the argument 3. Num is 3, right, and return 2 times 3, right, which is 6, right, and then the result is 6, and then 6 printed here. Okay. All right. So the point is that, see, even if you don't understand fully what I explained, the point is that here the point is a function can return a function. Okay. So let's recap. Okay, recap what we just discussed. See, now what we saw with examples that, see, you can pass an argument, pass a function as argument. Okay, in a function, right? A function can take in a function as argument, right? Okay, and then you can return a function from a function, right? And then also you can assign a variable, assign a function to a variable, right? And then you can also modify the function. Okay, so now this this is going to help you understand these concepts. It's going to help you understand understand decorators, okay? How decorators, what decorators are and how they work, okay? So let's see. Now on to decorators. Okay? What are decorators? So now decorators are, decorators, they take in a function, basically decorators, they, as as I mentioned up there, right? So decorator, it takes in a function and adds some functionality to the function, okay? And then returns that function, okay? It'll be clear in a moment. So that you're here, I have two functions here. See, I have this function here, decorate, right? This function, decorate function, right? This is one function, and I have another function down here, okay, which is just a small regular, just a simple function, right? See, this is nothing much to it, right? See, def regular func, and this returns a string, just a regular function. That's it, right? Now let's see. So I want to decorate. So okay, you'll understand what decorate means in a moment. So for now, I'll just say that okay, I want to decorate this function. Okay, how can I decorate this function? Okay, so here for that, I'll use this function to decorate. Okay, decorate means add some functionality to it. Okay, so let's see, add something to it. Okay, something to that this function. Okay, so this is the decorator function. Okay, this is the decorator function, and this function is the function that is going to be decorated. Okay, and who is going to decorate this function? Okay, this function is going to decorate. So let's see. Okay, now let me show you. Okay, I call this function regular func, right? And I just call that function, right? It doesn't take any arguments, so just no arguments here. So when you do that, see, it's just it just prints what, just a regular function, okay, as expected. Okay, so nothing fancy here, right? Okay, so now, okay, let's see. Now let me explain this code first, and then show you the output, and then make sense of the output, right? Okay, so what is this function doing? Look at this. So this function, right, decorate function, has another function defined within it, right? So this is the inner function. This is the inner function. Okay, the outer function is the decorate, right? And within decorate, there's another function called inner func, right? Inner func, and then what it does is, see, and then another thing you need to, you need to, notice is this, right? You see, now decorate is taking a function as an argument. Okay, we already talked about this, right? A function can take a function as an argument, right? So yeah, of course, see, now that's what we're doing here. We are, this decorate function is taking a function as an argument, right? Okay, and then here in the inner function, right? What are we doing in the inner function? See, we're just printing, right, in the inner function when this function is called, right? So just remember that functions are not executed until they are called, right? So they need to be called in order to be executed. So now let's see this. When you call this function, okay, when you happen to call this function, what it does is it will print this, right? Print this one right here. Your function has been decorated, and then do what? And then return the, return what? Return the, the invocation of func, whatever that is being passed here. See, whatever function is being passed, okay, that is called, okay, right here, that is called, okay, and then the return value, okay, from func, the return value from func is returned, okay. So there, you can think of it as like there are two returns. First, when you call this, so what is func? First, what is func? Func is the function that is being passed here, right? Whatever function is being passed, okay, that's func, right? And then, so here, right? So what happens is that passed, whatever function that is being passed, okay, that is called, okay, or that is invoked, and then something is returned from there, right? And then that return value is returned again by this function, right? Inner func, right? Okay, so here, now what's happening here? Return inner function, func, right? See, it's returning the inner func. See, now inner func is not being called. Just remember, inner func has not been called. It just returns the whole function. Okay, just think of it like that. Okay, think of it like, so this decorate function is going to do what? So it defines this inner func and then just returns that. Okay, there's no invocation. See, so for invocation to take place, you need to have something like this, right? So we don't have those parentheses. That means it's not invoked. The whole function, you can think of it like whole function is being returned. Okay, this whole function is being returned. Okay, this inner function is being returned. Okay, no invocation here. Okay, no running of the function, no execution of the function, just returning the function. See, as we said before, a function can return a function, of course. See, that's what we're doing here. See, decorate, the function decorate is returning a function, right? The inner function. Okay, so now let's see how it works. Now, when you call regular function, okay, we looked at this, right? Nothing, so nothing so complex here. Just calling this function, and then that will just return this, and that gets printed, right? So nothing fancy. Okay. All right. So now let's go over here. See, now what we are doing here is, see, decorated is equal to decorate regular func, right? So what are we doing here? We are, okay, let me make it a little bit smaller so that you can see all of those in one screen. Okay, let's see if I can do that. Okay, so okay, right here. Okay, yeah, I think this will work. Okay, see here, decorated. See, now you're calling decorate. See, you're calling decorate right here, right? With what? And then you're calling decorate, and then you're passing what? You're passing a function. See, regular function. See, because why? Because see, it's expecting a function. Okay, so you need to pass a function, right? Okay, so that's what we're doing. We are passing a function, right? Regular function right here. Okay, so what happened? Okay, let me give, okay, trace through, okay, trace through, okay, how, okay, actually what happens. Okay, so first, okay, what happens when I run this? Okay, when I run it, okay, when I run this code, say, okay, when I run this code, then of course the right hand side, right, the right hand side gets executed first, right, evaluated first, or executed. So now I am calling decorate with this function as argument, right? And then I go here, and then func is now what? Func is regular func, right? Because that's the value that is being passed from here. Okay, so now, and then we go here, and then this whole thing, okay, this whole thing, okay, right here, that will not be executed because we haven't called that yet, right? We've done nothing, right? So we just, that's just being defined there, as I already said, right? So now what happens is, so that this function gets returned, right? So the inner func gets returned, okay? So now, after returning, we come back here from where we called, right? We called from here, right? This line. So now, inner func. So what is the return value here? What is the return? What is returned here by this? Can you try to answer that, Yana? So what is being returned? Okay, when I call this, what is being returned?
Hang on. Isn't it oh wait, function has been decorated?
Okay, no. Okay, okay, anyway, so okay, I'll explain that. Don't worry. Okay, see, now what is being returned? See, right here, inner func is being returned, right? See, right here, see? When you call this, it returns what? It returns the inner func, right? So this inner func, right? So that is being returned. The whole function, inner func, the function, this function is being returned, right? So now that means, when we come back here, now this can be replaced by what? Inner func. The whole thing is an inner func, right? Because that's the value that is being returned, inner func, right? So this will be replaced by what? Inner func, right? So inner func, so that means decorated is equal to inner func, right? Because we're assigning that inner func to decorated, right? Okay, so now decorated is what? The inner func, this inner func, okay? Or this, okay? So now, when you call that, okay, when you call decorated, right? When you call, so you call decorated here. Calling means what? You have this parenthesis, right? So that means you're calling or you're invoking decorated, right? So that means you're invoking what? You're invoking inner function, because decorated is equal to, and decorated is assigned what? The inner function, right? So this, so you can think of it as like, you're calling this function, right? So when you're making this call to inner func, right? Because decorated is inner func, right? And then what happens? So since you called it, right, now the execution goes kind of here, right? And then what gets printed? Function has been decorated, right? See? Now look over here. See? Function has been decorated. So that gets printed. So this gets printed, right? And then what happens next? Next is you come down here, right? And you call the past function, right? What is the past function? The past function is what? Decorate. So regular func, right? So here, so this, right? So func is what? Func is regular func, right? Okay, and then so you call that, okay? So you're making this call here, right? Making this call here, and then what gets printed? Just a regular function. That is being returned, just a regular function. So that's why you see this, right? Okay, just a regular function. Okay, right here. So okay, now so what happened here? Okay, so of course you're okay. I don't expect you to fully understand this at this point, of course, right? So but you will have to work through it, okay? Because you have the notes already, right? So you'll have to work through it, okay, maybe with a pen and paper or something, and then trace through. Okay, so it's not very complicated. It looks complicated, of course, right? When you actually keep track of which function is calling which function and what is being returned and all those. Okay, so it's very simple actually. Okay, but at first, it looks very complicated. Okay, so yeah, I would expect you to actually later on go to the notes, okay, and try them out step by step, okay, very simple. Okay, so now, what in effect what we did was this. Okay, we decorated. So this was just a regular function, right? But we decorated it. That means we added something to this, right? So we just added something to it. It means what? We added this, this here, this this line. So we made it, we made it print this line. Okay, function has been decorated. In addition to the regular, regular, it's this one, right here. Okay? This one, this. Okay. So now this is called decorating. So and then you know as you can see above here, the decorator function, see what it did was it added some functionality. So what was the functionality that we added? It's a very simple one, right? So we just used the, added the print statement, with the value what function has been decorated to the, this function, regular function, right? Okay, so now let's, Python has an easier way to decorate a function by using the @ symbol and the name of the decorator, okay, just above the function to be decorated. So now, instead of doing this, okay, now you don't have to do this, okay? So now Python has given us this, this annotator, okay? So here, if we put, so in this regular func, right? So this, I want to decorate this function, right? If I want to decorate the function, all I need to do is, okay, I have a decorator here, right? So I have this decorator. So this is my decorator function, right? So this is my decorator function, right? And then I want to decorate this function with that decorator, right? So what do I do? It's very simple. What do? I just put a add symbol, right? Add, okay, add symbol, and then the name of the decorator function. In this case, the name of my decorator function is what? Decorate, right? This right here. Okay. So all I need to do is this. Okay. Add decorate, and that's it. That's it. And then you define your function, right? The function that is, that you want to decorate, right? And then here, when you call that function, okay, just call, just regular call, then see. Now, see, you see this, right? You get back what the decorated version. See, how do you know? Because see, this line, you see this line, right? In the output, function has been decorated. So that means this function has been decorated. Okay. All right. So yeah, I know it's very it sounds very complicated, but you know, so yeah, I will expect you to go through it later. Okay. Then so as I said earlier, just keep track of what function is being called, what is being passed, what operation is taking place within the function, and all those, and what is being returned. Okay, so and then you'll get it. Okay? So okay, now let's look at a useful example of decorators. So how can we use the decorator? For example, I have a function. Say, okay, I have a function named this function. Okay? Div x y return x divided by y, right? So here, so this is just a division function, right? So if I pass two numbers, right, x and y, and then it gives me back the result as x divided by y, right? So now, if you call this function right here, okay, with like this, div to 0, right? So of course, so this will give you this will give you an error because you cannot. So any number divided by 0 is undefined in mathematics, right? In mathematics, anything divided by 0 is undefined, right? So that will produce error. So see, it throws a division by error, a 0 error, right? See, this error. So how can we take care of this using a decorator, right? Let's see how we can do that. See, the above function call, resulted in a division by 0 error. So we can fix that. Okay, we can avoid such errors by using a decorator to the div function. So we can decorate the div function, this function right here, right? This function. So that if something like this happens, see somebody calls that function with this second argument at 0, then we don't want this kind of error to be shown. Okay, right? So how can we take care of that? Okay, so so we can use the a decorator function. See how do we decorate? See, this is the decorator function for that div function, right? So let's see what's happening. See, now I'll call this decorator function, the function that that is going to decorate. The name for that function is validate underscore div, right? And then it takes in a function as argument, right? And then here, see here, so as before, right? We have an inner function as well. See, I have an inner function. See, and then inner function. This pattern is the same. Okay, nothing different. See, just like before, right? I have the outer function. Inside the outer function, there is the inner function, nested function, right? In this case, the inner function is inner underscore func. And then finally, yeah, of course, you define the function over here, right? And then over here, you just return that inner function. That's it, right? You just return the inner function. That's it, right? So here, and then what do you do? So you use the annotator, right? So using at, and then the name of the decorator. See, you're decorating the div function, and then see when you see, and then this is the the regular definition of div, right? And then see, when you do this, see, when you do div 2 0 now, now what is the output? Output, see, dividing 2 by 0, and then it says, sorry, can't divide by 0, okay, which is nice, okay, rather than throwing this, you know, this big ugly, you know, ugly error message. See, now you get a nice error message, okay, sorry, I can't divide by 0, okay. All right, so how did it work? How does it work? Okay, let's look at that. Okay, so this will be kind of a review of what we talked about. Okay, so let's see. So now you call, okay, now where should we start? Okay, we start from here. Okay. So when I call this div, right? So when I run this code right here, okay, when I run this, now the call goes here, right? Here, okay? Call goes here, and then before I run this, okay, so okay, so what happens is, because it's being decorated, right? Then what happens is this, okay, this function gets called. Okay, before it runs, before this function runs, although this has been called, right? From here, okay, this has been called, but you know, it doesn't run first. Okay, first, okay, this validate div will run because that is the decorator. First, the decorator will run, right? So now this one, okay, will pass. Okay, it will be, in effect, it will be like this. So you're calling validate div, this function, okay, with the argument, you know, uh, in which argument we pass this function right here. Okay, this function. Okay, this function. So now you're calling this one. So you call this, but now there's another call. Okay, another call is to this. Another call is to this with what? What is func now? The func is div, right? The div is passed as the argument. So the func is now the div function, right? And then after that, you get here, right? And then this doesn't get called. I mean, this doesn't get executed because we haven't called it yet, right? So now we directly go here, right? And then we return this inner func, right? So we return this inner func, right? So we return that inner func means what? Okay, means okay. Now what happens is, okay, so that inner func, okay, so that is being returned, right? Okay, so when you call this one, right? So that, okay, so after that, this inner func, okay, so you return this, right? Okay, so basically, now this, okay, this will be called, right? Because you know, because of this, right? Because of this, now this inner func will be called with x and y. With x as what? X is the first, which is 2, right? It's 2, right? And then y, the value of y will be 0, right? Okay. So the first argument is 2, and the second argument is 0. So x will be 2, and y will be 0, right? And then what happens? Because this has been called, right? Inner func has been called, right? So inner func has been called. So that means this will get printed, right? Dividing this, okay? This by this. So dividing. So here, this is the first placeholder. We'll get the value x. The second placeholder right here will get the value y, right? So that means dividing 2 by 0, right? And then dot, dot, dot. See, dividing 2 by 0, dot, dot, dot. Okay. All right. So now after that, it will come here. The execution will come here, and then it will test whether your y is 0. Yeah, of course, y is 0 because see, now 0 is being passed from here, right? So y is 0, so that means so this will be returned, right? Okay, and then the function will return with nothing, with no value, right? Okay, so and then the function will terminate. See, now sorry, can divide by 0, right? And the function will terminate. See, now and then okay, so once you return, so you don't have, okay, so once you return, you get out of the function, right? Get out of the functions. without any return value. Okay, so now that's how it works. Because see, that's why even if you provided 0 in the second argument, okay, it didn't crash. Okay, rather it gave you a nice nice error message. Okay, so now what happens if you know if you call just a where no error is going to be is expected. So here 3 by 2. You're dividing 3 by 2. Okay, so which is a normal one, so which does not produce error, of course. So in that case, see, just dividing 3 by 2, and the answer is 1.5. Right. So now it's a very nice functionality, right? So you can decorate any function, right? And then you can change its behavior or add functionality to it. Let's see, in this case here, this div function, right? It's just a regular function. See, I mean, but we added a nice functionality to it, right? We added nice functionality to it. That means what functionality? We added, see, this message saying dividing, the first argument by the second argument. Okay, we give that information. Plus, if the caller, right, whoever is calling that function, passes 0 as the second argument, okay, we don't actually divide x by y. Rather, we do what? We present them with this error message. Okay, so which is a very nice and handy way. A nice error message, okay, which helps the user, figure out what's going on here. So if you give something like this for a non-technical user, they don't know what's going on most of the time, right? They don't know what's going on. So and then it doesn't look good, right? Okay. So this is the this is the good thing or usefulness, the utility of decorator. Okay.